Legend tells us one thing, history another. But every now and then we find something that belongs to both.
There are relics that predate the universe itself. An ancient force of infinite destruction.
You have no idea what you're dealing with.
This is beyond you.
Why would you risk your life for this?
Because right now, life's giving us a chance. Whatever happens on Earth, that up there, that's the end game.
Everybody, and welcome once again to GeekFest Rants. My name is Carlos Perron, and joining me today I have Steve and Kyle. Say hello, Steve and Kyle.
Hello, Steve and Kyle.
Hello, gentlemen.
There we go. Both of them are here. We are going to take a little bit of time here and try to discuss all this crazy Marvel DC stuff that's not only happening, but on its way with the recent announcements.
Yes.
Not only DC announced a few weeks ago their game plan, but then Marvel
blew them out of the water.
Yeah, seemed to overshadow everything by they just unloaded all of their 3-year plan or 3 to 4 year plan or something.
5-year plan.
It's insane. So let's start, Steve, with last time we had this conversation was when we were talking about Guardians of the Galaxy, and we were speculating at the time what will be Phase 3. We were, I think, from our speculation, we had probably about 75%.
We were on target.
Right.
We were very on target.
So let's just go down the line, not only Phase 3, but what's coming, and let's try to get the order of what's coming next.
All right. Well, you have Avengers and Ant-Man next year from Marvel, and then that will be the end of Phase 2, and then Phase 3 will start up with Captain America, which will be Civil War.
Right, different title than originally expected.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation, which we'll get to it. And then I'm a little, maybe Kyle knows, I'm a little leery on the actual order after that. I know we have
I think Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is next. Yeah,
right. Doctor Strange is next because that has a director.
Which at the time when we had this conversation before, they were looking at Joaquin Phoenix as the possible Doctor Strange.
Now it's Benedict Cumberbatch,
right?
Who is not confirmed, but the speculation is rampant that it's going to be him for Doctor Strange. But they didn't, when they did their media presentation,
right? They didn't have him there.
And Kevin Feige said if we was confirmed, he would have been here.
Yeah, they did the same thing with Spider-Man.
Right.
Yeah.
So then you have Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Inhumans. You have a Thor sequel.
Then more Avengers.
More Avengers. The next Avengers will be split into 2 films. You have a Guardians sequel.
Right. Now, let me ask you a question. Before we get into each individual one of those, some of the things that are not in that list. There were rumors, fan speculation maybe, whatever we want to call them, that there was going to be possibly a Hulk movie.
Yeah, and I was kind of disappointed because I've been really hoping for one. And yeah, Kevin Feige said both Hulk and Black Widow are going to stay as part of the Avengers and have pivotal roles to play in those films, but they're not getting their own standalones, at least not in Phase 3, which is going up until 2019, which is not to say that they may never.
Right.
But, especially by giving Captain Marvel, who's a female character, Marvel's first female
character.
That's
another one, Captain Marvel.
The standalone as opposed to Black Widow, it's obvious that she's not in the mix. And I honestly don't think she'll ever get one to be. I think there's much more of a chance of a Hulk movie than a Black Widow.
Do you think that them coming up with Captain Marvel out of the blue to me that was a surprise, is a reaction to the possibility of the Wonder Woman movie that never happened. It's more of a combined group team thing.
But no, Wonder Woman is on DC's list.
Oh, as a standalone? Oh, I thought they were just going to throw it in Justice League.
No. She's on the list. Yeah,
okay.
No. She's like 2017 or 18.
Oh, okay. Now, speaking of missing titles, what happens to Iron Man? I thought Downey just signed a new contract.
He's always been very coy, Robert Downey, about whether there'll be an Iron Man 4 or not. He was definitely signed on the dotted line for Avengers 2 and 3. But, he was just recently promoting another film, and everybody wanted to know about Iron Man, and he just kept saying yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And finally, it was confirmed that he is going to be the antagonist. I wouldn't call him villain, but antagonist in Captain America Civil War, which is a loose adaptation of a storyline from the comic about 7 or 8 years ago, where Captain America and Iron Man found themselves on opposite sides of something called the Superhero Registration Act. And that was which Marvel, the cinematic universe, is going to have to change, because that was about revealing secret identities and all that kind of stuff, and the government getting involved.
Sounds very X-Men-y.
A little, sort of. But,
registration acts and
but
outing them,
right, and register all that stuff, and civil liberties being trampled on and stuff like that. So they're going to have to sort of switch it around to make it fit the cinematic universe, and also do it without characters that were integral to the comic storyline, like Spider-Man, who they can't use.
Can't touch him.
And there was a lot of rumor and a lot of speculation that Marvel and Sony were going to come to some sort of an agreement to let Spider-Man in to the story and share him, because the movie bombed, and they thought, well, maybe we'll make a few bucks. But again, Kevin Feige said, if I didn't say it here today, it's all rumor, it's all speculation.
Now, for Downey, what is considered to be, I don't know if you want to call it a contract extension or a new contract.
I think it's a per film kind of thing.
Is it his participation with the Captain America film and part 2 of the Avengers third film?
It's a separate contract. He signed previously for Avengers 2 and 3. That was one contract.
But 3 was supposed to be one movie.
Well, they must have some sort of... It's like the Harry Potters. Like in legal terms, it must still be one movie, because that does not count. He was, I believe, is getting somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million to do Captain America. So he's only confirmed for Captain America and Avengers 2 and 3, part 1 and 2, I
guess 2 halves movies equals one movie, or
I don't know how it works, because you have to think also that Chris Hemsworth and Chris Evans are coming to the ends of their contracts with Marvel.
That's right.
And once they have their sequels, their standalone sequels, Thor and Cap and Avengers 3, they're done. So, Marvel coming up with these other titles like Black Panther and Doctor Strange is sort of partially a reaction to the fact that they'll probably lose these actors for good.
Well, with Captain America, it looks like they could be potentially being laying the groundwork with the Falcon.
The Falcon or the Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier, Bucky, right.
Yeah.
Right.
But who knows if they'll maybe beg them or back up the Brinks truck like they did
Downey.
for Downey.
Right.
Because they were lucky with these other actors who were younger, and they could get them in those 6. They wanted those actors for 9 movies, but they got them for 6. Other actors like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, they're 9-movie guys.
Wow.
But like somebody like Mark Ruffalo is 6 movies, and I think even Jeremy Renner is 6 movies. Like, you have these guys who they could throw in. You could throw in Jeremy Renner. There's a lot of talk that he'll be in Cap as well. Or, Ruffalo even, mean, because the Civil War storyline, you can't just have Cap and Iron Man facing off.
You two-man Civil War.
They've confirmed also that Black Panther will make his debut in Civil War.
Well, we saw a trailer.
Movie.
They showed us a Avenger 2 trailer,
right?
And they actually show us, from what I believe is the bad guy for Black Panther.
Oh yes,
Claw,
by played by Andy Serkis.
Yeah,
so that was like, wait a minute, who's he? What's he doing here?
Yeah, and everybody could tell because he had the beard without the mustache that he was Claw.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean, so they'll be sprinkled. These other actors will be sprinkled into other movies. You have to expect that they're going to show up, because you're never going to get a Hawkeye movie. Also, so they'll just chuck him into other and as this thing builds to the Infinity War, it's going to be as like with the comic,
and that's the 2-part third Avenger.
They're going to have, I'm sure, I have no doubt, you're going to have the Guardians, in the Infinity War, like the Guardians characters in the Avengers movie. You might even have the Inhumans.
It's Battle of the Network Stars.
Well, they're doing what they do almost every year in the comics. Right. Massive crossover. And then also, too, with these other characters that they're introducing, like Captain Marvel and even Doctor Strange, those are other characters that you can throw into these, like the Avengers movies.
Well, let's hit a couple of these actual movies a little more in detail. We didn't know at the time which direction Captain America was going to take. We were hoping or we were theorizing that hopefully they'll continue with the Bucky story, the Winter Soldier, resolve that story or somehow bring it into some manageable environment. You can't just leave everybody hanging with this guy just being a bad guy every now and
which
then.
I'm sure they won't.
So that's a possibility, but then because the announcement, they screw around with the name. Didn't they first say
Serpent Society?
Yeah,
right.
Which was a fake.
And people were like, oh, okay. And then at the end of the presentation, they said, oh, no, by the way, the name is this.
Right.
And everybody freaked out because I guess they understood what that meant.
Yeah. But also, before they had the media presentation, the Hollywood Reporter had leaked that Civil War was going to be the story and that Robert Downey was going to be in it. It was well, because and then he tried to fake you out.
Right. But what happened was, like I said, when we were doing our own predictions a while back, the rumor going around was the Avengers 3 was going to hit the Civil War storyline. Right. So I guess they took that and they just put it on top of Captain America, or maybe that was the plan. Who the hell knows? Who cares?
Who knows?
So that was an easy one. What do we know about Thor? What is this?
Ragnarok.
What is that?
It's another storyline from the comic that was done it's actually been done multiple times across his 50-year history, but the best storyline was in the 80s by a guy named Walt Simonson, and it's the twilight of the gods. It's the death of the gods. It's their end. Ragnarok. It means the end for the gods. And they fought this character, which I would love to see visualized, live action. He's called Surtur. He's a flame giant. It was almost like a year-long storyline. I mean, yes, it means the death of the gods. Does that mean they've done it many times in Marvel, so it keeps happening. But it could really potentially, again, be an exit for Chris Hemsworth. I don't know, or could be a way to sort of bring in somebody else as Thor. I was
going to say, is there a way cinematically to introduce a new Thor? How does the comic book deal with it? Are they multiple Thors, or who cares?
Thor, he's always been Thor, reboots. But he's had other identities, like human identities. The most prominent one is Donald Blake. But sometimes he's just been Thor. And there have been other characters who could wield the hammer. That didn't mean they were Thor. They were like some version of Thor. But Thor always came back. It's like Captain America being killed. The Winter Soldier became him for a couple of years, and then Cap came back. I really don't know. I think Thor comes out before Avengers.
Okay.
And I believe they'll want Chris Hemsworth to be in Avengers. I'd be stunned.
He's got to be.
So I don't know if it could be a situation where Asgard is destroyed, but Thor survives. I mean, you could speculate all you want.
Or maybe they'll make Thor Beta Ray Bill. That'd be cool.
Well, that would be cool, but Beta Ray Bill is a great character. Again, another character from the 80s that I was reading Thor when he was introduced, and he's very popular. I don't know that they would ever... It would be a ballsy thing if they introduced him, because, he looks like a horse.
Yeah.
And he's a great character, but to make him Thor... I don't know. I'm surprised at some of the things that they've done. Some of the characters that they're introducing, and again, it's partially because they can't do Fantastic Four, they can't do X-Men, they can't do Spider-Man. So they're digging into the B list and the C list. And Guardians was a perfect example.
Right.
And everybody was predicting that Guardians was going to be Marvel's first bomb, and it's their third highest grossing film ever. And I read an article recently that kind of backs up what I'm saying, is if Marvel had Spider-Man, FF, X-Men, you would never see these characters. Never. So it's a great opportunity.
They'll take a back seat.
Yeah, it's a great... I mean, sooner or later, they probably will get these characters back and do them their way.
If they can go beyond 10 years or something like that.
It's going to be a while. But at the same time...
Or television.
Right. But at the same time, and also don't forget their Netflix stuff, which is, they got Daredevil back and they're using him. They actually have Ghost Rider and Punisher, but they don't have any plans for them yet. But you're seeing characters that I don't think you would have ever seen. And I, in all honesty, as a fan, I'm excited because FF, all right. X-Men, Fox does X-Men right, as far as I'm concerned. Spider-Man, I think, sucks now. I don't like the Mark Webb movies, but I'm excited to see these next phase, with like characters like even Doctor Strange, Black Panther. No one's heard of them.
Going back to, again, the list, Doctor Strange you just mentioned. We talked about him before. Is there anything new about, other than the fact that it looks like it's Cumberbatch?
Just they had named the director.
Again, origin
Scott
story,
Derrickson.
most likely.
There's been discussion that it won't be an origin movie.
Really?
That it might sort of kind of go right
Yeah, I've
into
heard
him.
that's what they're going to be doing.
What, save the origin for later?
Well, maybe pepper it throughout the movie, but not.
Instead of a traditional beginning to
Yeah,
end.
Yeah, I heard they're going to be doing that with most movies after Ant-Man.
Really?
And I think the reason too is partially because with storylines like Civil War and the Infinity War, you have to get right into it. There's not a lot of time for
Well, Thor, if you think
origins.
about it, Thor really was not an origin story other than his involvement with Earth, because he was Thor already.
Yeah.
He was nothing. He was always Thor. He's always been Thor.
And they did away with the comic because they did away with his human identity.
Right.
So there was no origin to be had.
You don't have to link him to anything like that. Now, the other biggie here is, again, we talked about it last time, Black Panther, which last time, you kind of talked about what the origin is and this and that, but now the new information is that they actually hired an actor already for it.
Chadwick Boseman, who's a great actor.
Who was in, I think we mentioned 42. He was in 42, and he was in something else.
Get On Up, I think. I think he was in Get On Up.
He was in something else.
Oh, the Jimi Hendrix movie. Was that what it was? Jimi Hendrix or James Brown movie?
James Brown
movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a great actor. He's
I don't know if I've seen him in any of these.
It's funny. From even 15, 20 years ago, every African American actor of note has wanted to play.
Are they ready? Are they ready?
Are
they making it yet?
Wesley, starting with Wesley.
Jeez, that's a long time ago.
Yeah,
Good
wanted
Lord.
to play this character and expressed an interest in playing this character, and now he's got it, and I think he's going to be great.
Now, let me ask you a question. Without getting too controversial here, do they have to pick a black director?
They don't have to, but again, Kevin Feige was asked, would you pick a black director for Black Panther? Would you pick a female director for Captain Marvel? And he sort of said yes, because he feels like it's an opportunity to give, an African American or a female director a chance. And also, there's that relatability. A woman understanding a woman's character, an African American understanding an African American character. It might make sense to start it, and then if they do sequels, start mixing it up a little bit. I mean, to me, it's just the right director for the right job. I don't care. However that shakes out, I mean, it's a non-issue for me.
Right, but I mean, there's certain things like, for example, you could say the best director. You can also say the best actor. So you can then go further and go, well, best actor doesn't have to be black. No, he has to be black. You can't pull a Robert Downey, was it Thunder?
Michael B. Jordan is playing the Human Torch in the Fantastic Four. That's a white character.
No. What I'm saying is that you can't have a black actor playing a white. You can't put him in blackface or in whiteface.
No,
you can't. You can change the character.
They're more inclined. They're more inclined to take somebody like in for example Daredevil, where they asked Michael Clark Duncan to play the Kingpin, a white character. In the Daredevil Netflix series,
yes,
there's going to be an African American actor playing Ben Urich, who's a white character. I mean, Lawrence Fishburne played Perry White. As far as the heroes go, now you're going to have Michael Jordan play the Human Torch. Again, but on the reverse of it is they're never going to have a white actor play the Black Panther because he's African. He's not just black.
He could be South African.
Honestly, I don't know
the South African Panther.
Where you going with this? I mean, we have other more important things. You're going off the rails.
Yeah, off the rails.
As you usually do.
Okay, well, is there anything else other than the fact that we know the actor? Do we know anything else?
No. I mean,
Black
yes,
Panther?
Probably that Andy Serkis will be,
we saw him in the trailer. You can't get away from that.
And also they were saying that he's going to start off in Civil War. We'll see him in Civil War.
Right. And this has to do with, you said the shield is made out of this metal needs to be.
In the comic, it's adamantium, but in the movies, I think it's vibranium.
Yeah,
and that's how they can link it into have to go to that.
I think he might also
country
be
to visit.
in Age of Ultron too, because it looks like they're going to go to Wakanda to get the medal.
Right, and I think there's a very good chance that might be a fake, that they might have him in Ultron, and instead of debuting in Cap, you'll see it because. Here's another thing.
Coming first.
Here's another thing with Avengers, and they're following the comic too, in a sense. I have a feeling, and it's pretty, I think not so much confirmed, but again, Kevin Feige has sort of implied this, that the lineup of the Avengers is going to radically change after the end of this upcoming Avengers film. You have Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch and the Vision appearing in this film.
They're percolating up.
Well, they're going to be main characters.
Right.
Hawkeye, in the early years of the Avengers comic, Cap disbanded the team, kicked out Thor, kicked out Iron Man, kicked out Giant Man and the Wasp, and he made the team Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye, and Cap. And very shortly after that, you had Black Panther and you had the Vision. Well, look what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're going to lose these big actors and their big salaries, and you're going to have these other actors with their 6 or their 9 picture deals, and they can be the Avengers.
In a cinematic universe, who do you think would be the leader of the Avengers?
Cap.
In the future.
Cap.
If it's not Chris Evans, it would have to be whatever is 2.0 Cap, the Winter Soldier or Falcon or whoever.
Right.
Okay. It's always Cap.
I wouldn't say always, but generally speaking, in a 50 to 60 year history, the one who's ran the team more often than anybody else is Cap.
Okay. Captain Marvel. That is one that was completely not on my radar when we talked last time. Mm-hmm. What the hell is Captain Marvel?
Well, she used to be Ms. Marvel. And Ms. Marvel is a character who's been around since the 70s.
Tell me about
She is human.
Why?
She's from Earth.
Powers?
She's got the same powers as the male Captain Marvel, who was from Kree, the planet Kree.
But what, the male Captain Marvel came before
Yes.
this Captain Marvel?
Probably by about 10 years.
But are you talking about in the history of the comic or just the
In the history
pre-written
of the comic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And she was a member of the Avengers. She actually had a sort of identity change and became a character called Binary and was on the X-Men. But for the longest time, she's been like an on and off member of the Avengers.
Because we know they're making it after this female character, not the male one.
Yes.
What are the powers? What does she do?
The same as she has these cosmic abilities that Captain Marvel had.
But I don't know what Captain Marvel was.
He had
like Green Lantern,
he could fly.
a
little bit. He could
Energy blasts.
Energy blasts. Captain Marvel. I don't know if Ms. Marvel had
like
them.
magical powers type of.
Science-y, outer space powers.
Okay.
She's from Earth, but she's got his powers. I don't remember her exact origin, but I think it had something.
I'm just trying to figure out
if
this is a Batman, a technological wizard.
No, she's got the powers. She's not a mutant.
Okay.
She's not a mutant, but she was gifted with these powers.
Okay, Okay.
A lot of speculation there is a lot of people want Katie Sackhoff to play her.
I think a lot of actors are, what's the word?
Lobbying.
They're lobbying.
Well, I mean, she's like the obvious choice. But I've also heard like Jessica Chastain. I've heard like, people, they may want like Katie Sackhoff, much as I love her, is kind of the B-list. And I mean, if she got the role, I'd be happy for her.
And the thing about her is that I love her. She's great, but you know exactly who she is and how she acts. You're not going to get any surprises out of her.
Right.
Because you've seen her already.
Right.
She's done.
She's a little bit too well known.
Right. She's the tough tomboy type of chick that will kick your ass and, that's it. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. But like I said, they may go for like an A-lister because they could get the A-list now. I mean, Marvel just has to, snap their fingers and they get Glenn Close and they get Robert Redford and they get, so my inclination is that it's going to be somebody higher up on the food chain than Katie.
Wow. You think this would be on the serious side of Marvel or on the Guardians side of Marvel?
I'm serious.
It's a more of serious type of situation here.
But I mean, Marvel... not as far as Guardians, but I mean, all their movies are tinged with a little humor. But I don't think, in all honesty, any of that slate is going to go as goofy as Guardians.
Okay.
But I think Guardians...
Except for Guardians, too.
Right, there you go. Do we know anything about Guardians 2?
What I've heard from James Gunn, I follow him on Facebook, and he's made mention of this, is that there's a good possibility that you're going to start to see a lot of the original Guardians of the Galaxy in this film. Maybe not as like main members of the newer, because as I explained in the other podcast, this is like the second version of the Guardians. It's not the original.
Like
and Yondu is an original Guardian. He's not portrayed that way in the movie, but he is one. So there are like 5 other characters that he could bring in, however he wants to do it, from going back to the 60s.
Yeah, maybe they could bring Yondu onto the team.
Yeah.
Like, because he did help out, and like maybe he'll get recognized for his efforts.
They could sort of mess around with the history a little, but I would very much like to see, because those are like my guardians. Like, as much as I still read comics and stuff, like, I did honestly not read Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't even read it before the movie came out. I knew nothing about some of the characters, but I knew who like Peter Quill was, and I knew who Gamora was and Drax, but not as members of the Guardians. I didn't know the team. So we'll see.
Now, we also talked last time about, which we were predicting, rumors, the Inhumans.
Yeah, the Inhumans, again.
Made the cut.
Interesting. They are very, very directly tied to the Fantastic Four. So how Marvel cinematically establishes them, I mean, you didn't need the Fantastic Four for them. I mean, Black Panther was also tied very directly to the Fantastic Four. They were all introduced through the Fantastic Four. You don't have to do it that way, so it'll be interesting to see how... The Inhumans are tied to the Kree. The Kree is the alien race that Captain Marvel is from, and that Ms. Marvel gets her powers from, and that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has the blue alien.
The blue guy in the thing?
Yeah, that's a Kree.
It's a Kree. So there's all kinds of
connections.
connections.
Didn't we see the Kree also in another movie, in Avengers or something? Or there was not. Those were not the Kree.
In Guardians, you get to see living Kree. Like Ronan was a Kree.
Ronan was a Kree. Yeah, exactly.
He was like a rebel Kree.
I see.
He was the accuser.
And Inhumans also kind of falls under the Guardians. They're not A tier. They're probably more like B tier, B team.
Pushing C.
Really, they're like really.
Well, I mean, they've had
a little bit obscure
over there. Yeah, I mean,
I never heard of them.
Over the years, they've had their own book. And then it's been canceled, and then they've had their own book, and they've always been supporting characters.
And these are revolving door of characters that change every now and then, or they're usually
pretty standard. They're actually sort of like, they're not mutants. They're a race of beings that are exposed to this mist, and the mist gives them different powers. But they're descended from the Kree.
Okay.
So again, Marvel is connecting dots that, as a comic book reader, I see. Not to be, I know this stuff, but that your general public person is not like, oh, okay, and then okay, whatever. Yeah.
Now, the last one I could mention is, again, going back to Avengers, the third Avenger film, Infinity War. Infinity War. What does that have to do with?
That's Thanos.
That's the Infinity Stones.
Gauntlet,
or the Gauntlet.
The stones, yeah.
Does this have anything to do with the Mandarin and his rings? No, that's completely different. Okay, good.
Zilch, nothing.
So this is the one we saw, the little preview at the end of, I forget which film, and he was a little bit in this last one.
Yep.
Okay, so he will come in.
And then there was a leaked thing like of him with the gauntlet.
Yeah, that little trailer, that's another thing they leaked. Another trailer that at the end, it was a like a compilation trailer of all the scenes, and then at the end you see him showing the gauntlet.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. What do we know about that?
Well, it's going to be...
It's a big story.
It'll be all hands on deck versus Thanos.
Okay.
You talk about the Avengers, you talk about the Guardians.
It's Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah. It's Marvel's huge, massive crossover. I'm sure everybody and their sister is going to be in that movie, in terms of characters.
Does that have a better possibility of maybe switching to some of the Fox, the Spider-Mans, the Fantastic Fours?
If they get deals done, maybe.
That would be the best place to throw them in.
Let me put it to you this way. If the Fox Fantastic Four movie bombs, and everybody's saying that it's going to...
They already have a second movie planned already.
Sony had one for Spider-Man 3.
They have like 3 still.
They are just...
They're trying too hard.
Well,
real
Sinister
hard.
Six is still...
They can't... They both want to have their own cinematic universes the way Marvel does, but they have such limited properties... Yeah. Like Spider-Man, you're going to I'll eat my hat if that Sinister Six movie ever actually happens. And then Spider-Man 3, if they want to connect X-Men and Fantastic Four, that's like square peg and round hole. X-Men, Fox has. They have it. They do it right. It's probably going to go forever.
And they're in good shape. It's in good shape.
They're in very good shape.
Property.
I'm sure Apocalypse will be great. And they have another Wolverine on tap. It's going to be FF. I bet my life it's going to bomb. And if it does bomb, they'll throw up their hands and say, here you go, Marvel, take it back. Would that affect Marvel's Phase 3 plans? It might not. It might be too late for them to put them in because they're so intricately planned. They have to start
so early on these things that...
Right. So that just might not be on the table, even if they get them back.
Yeah, and another thing I've been hearing was that for a lot of these movies, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is gonna like kind of build into them. Like for Civil War, it's gonna start on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. first, and then
I'm
it's
sure
gonna make
That's
its
their
way
TV source. I mean, that's their TV outlet.
Yeah.
Well, the
for anything.
beauty of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you really saw that last season, was how they could sort of build up to something that's going to happen in a movie, like they did with Cap and Winter Soldier and Hydra and all that stuff. They build to it in the show. The big stuff happens in the movie, and then in the show again, you see
deal
the
with
aftermath.
The loose ends. They tie loose
and,
ends.
they could talk to, Tony Stark on the phone and Cap on the phone. And, once in a while, Sam Jackson will show up, throw them a bone and say, yeah, I'll be in your show for 10 minutes, or maybe they'll even get Downey for like a 3-minute cameo, whatever. But it's nice because they can sort of, fill in the blanks that,
Right.
The movies are
that you don't have the time, deleted scenes, stuff that gets cut
Yeah,
out.
you just can't.
then
You just can't.
turn it in. You can turn a 2-minute deleted scene into an entire episode.
Yeah,
More or
yes.
less. Now, let's switch over to the DC side now, because we know that this is all, everybody, it's move and counter move and move and counter move. The first sign that DC was willing to, they knew they were kind of in trouble, I think, was the fact that they changed the
Release
Batman
date?
versus Superman when they were going to coincide
Yeah,
with Cap.
that was a real stupid
They moved
move.
it up more though, which is
Yeah.
nicer.
Right, but they didn't want to go head to head on that same week.
Let me I want to preface this by saying Marvel does it right. DC is always playing catch up. And even if you look at the way they announced their slates, Marvel manipulated the public, the social media, the press beautifully. DC did it in like a conference call with investors, and all of a sudden I'm on Facebook and one day I see like a list of movies, and there was just like, and here they are, and there was
they just
no,
dumped it
there
right
was
there.
no
No hoopla.
and it was so poorly rolled out that I'm cautiously optimistic. Now look, I just want to say something. Kyle doesn't know how lucky he is because when I was his age and younger, there was nothing. It was all crap. I mean, you had your Batmans, or when you was really young, you had your Superman movies, but there was not this. You have 30 superhero movies coming out in the next 6 years. Now, I mean, that might saturate the market and people might be like, enough already. But to me, if I were like his age or younger, and when I was his age or younger, I would have had a stroke. I would have been so happy. And I mean, and when you did have movies that came out, besides Batman and Superman, you had the Roger Corman Fantastic Four, and you had the Punisher and the Captain America and the Swamp Thing, and you had all this crap, and it took forever to get to the point we're at now, and I'm just hoping I live to see it all.
The thing is that now you can take 1 or 2 bombs and you still have another 27 good ones coming anyway.
Yeah, you don't have to worry.
It's not like you go see the Swamp Thing and they're like, okay, it's
yeah.
okay, when it's
Plus, factor in the TV shows, the landscape. I know it's not our primary subject here, but you look at, there are 6 superhero-related TV shows on at the moment?
Not only that, but going a little bit back to Marvel again, we mentioned Daredevil. Daredevil now is about to go explode.
Right.
It's not even out yet, and they already had 4 other things lined up. You remember the name of those?
It's Daredevil, it's Power Man and Iron Fist, Jessica Jones, and the Defenders.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's also Marvel B-list, but Power Man and Iron Fist, I loved that book. I loved Daredevil. I loved the Defenders.
I think they're going to be in Civil War. I think they're going to work into the Civil War.
Kyle makes a good point. I think there's a possibility, even though Kevin Feige...
I think they're going to team up with Cap because they're more like Street.
Talk about tying it all up.
Well, again, you need more heroes to beef up that storyline. So that's a perfect way to get them in there, is to bring in those Netflix characters.
Going back to DC again, obviously reintroducing Batman, it's a total reboot because they obviously have a new actor.
Yeah.
They're mixing it up with Man of Steel, Superman now. They're not even talking about standalone Superman, are they?
No, there will be they haven't put dates on them, but there will be standalone Superman and Batman.
And let's talk a little bit about quickly, because I know we're trying to focus mainly on Marvel, but what is DC's counter plan that you can remember?
You have Batman versus Superman, Dawn of Justice, and that, again, they're playing a very dangerous game, because I think the movie could be a hit, but there's no guarantees that it's going to be a hit. And they're talking about a Flash movie, a Justice League movie, a Wonder Woman movie, a Shazam movie. These are all to be coming out by like
Isn't
2020.
The Rock's supposed to be
He's going to be Black Adam in the Shazam movie.
Yeah.
And finally, at the end of the slate, you have Green Lantern, because I think they want to distance it. date-wise as far away from the Ryan
last one.
Reynolds,
Right.
and Cyborg, which I thought was a weird choice.
Cyborg's cool.
He's cool, but I didn't know he could carry a movie.
Where does
could do
Deadpool
it.
fall under all this?
Deadpool is Fox Marvel.
So it's part of X-Men-ish.
2016. Yeah.
So
February
that also
2016.
came out of nowhere. All of a sudden,
Well, 'cause they
they're
leaked the
shopping
footage.
around this little test footage, and it gets enough traction to create a film.
Well, it was on track, and it was derailed, and then it looked like it was dead in the water, and then they leaked the footage. And when they leaked the footage, the internet went crazy, and
amazing.
everybody was
That's
like,
incredible.
Put this movie out, make sure Ryan Reynolds is in it, because he was in Wolverine.
Yeah,
which
he was
that was awful.
He was good. Like he would.
He
be
was
the-
good as Wade Williams, but he wasn't Deadpool.
he could redeem his career
Yeah.
through this movie.
He's perfect. He's perfect to play Deadpool. But yeah, that's Fox. That's Marvel.
It's funny when I saw that leaked footage. To me, the voice sounded like Jim Carrey, like the delivery of the lines and all that
That was
stuff.
Ryan. Yeah.
So he has nothing to do with DC, obviously. But the ones you just mentioned before, those are the definitely confirmed official slate.
That's
Yeah.
the slate.
Wow.
Yeah. And it's
And you also
ambitious.
you forgot Suicide
Aquaman.
Squad.
Suicide Squad and Aquaman.
Aquaman.
Jason
That's right.
Momoa
There's a-
is going to play
that's
Aquaman.
right.
There's a
right.
lot of news around Suicide Squad lately.
And these are all
Yeah.
individual projects, not crossovers.
Well, they're all going to, like Marvel, they're going to inhabit the same universe.
and there's also 2-part Justice Leagues.
Yeah. You know, the problem with DC is they're doing it ass backwards. The problem with DC is like, which I will, for the life of
Well, they're
me,
playing
never
catch-up.
understand.
That's the problem.
They're playing catch up, but they're Warner Brothers. They own all the DC characters. They could have been doing this years ago. They didn't have to have rights and negotiations and this and that. They could have just said Batman, Superman, this, that. But Marvel just like pulled the rug out from under them with characters like Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, who were not their A-list because Fox and whoever, Universal had the Hulk and all these other. So they came along and had this game plan and just blew DC off the map. And now I'm not complaining about the Christopher Nolan Batman movies, but that was never going to be a connected thing. They came out with a Batman movie and a Superman movie that had nothing, that did not come.
Right. The Nolan Batmans had nothing to do with franchising the crap out of the whole DC universe.
And the Bryan Singer Superman did not take place in the Batman universe. And then the Singer Superman was not successful, and the Ryan Reynolds movie was not successful. So they had to kind of regroup and come up with a plan. Now, Man of Steel is a very shaky foundation to build their universe on because I like it. It made 200 plus, close to 300 million, but a lot of people have a lot of problems with it.
Yeah, I have problems with it too.
And I do too, as much as I do like it. And so you're gonna have, this everything hinges on Batman versus Superman because you're gonna throw in all the new characters. Wonder Woman and Aquaman.
Cyborg's going to be in that one too.
Yeah. And another thing that DC is doing, which I don't know how I feel about it, but it's obviously what they're doing, is they're separating their TV universe from their movie universe.
Wow.
Flash, Arrow.
New actors for
all that.
everything.
That's a mistake in my opinion.
I agree.
But they are more successful on TV
They
than
are
on films, apparently.
But they're not
Synergy.
synergy.
No synergy.
No synergy. And okay, so you have this awesome Flash TV series that I love.
Yeah, it's
And
great.
you're gonna have it probably it is gonna be on for like 4 years, and then you're gonna have a Flash movie with some other guy who looks like an idiot.
Yeah.
And
Maybe they'll get Flash Father to come back for the movie.
I don't get it. Like to me,
Yeah.
that's gonna confuse the issue.
Well, like you said, because they're separating the TV from the film, they're not taking advantage of the popularity of some of these things to make them come.
You could bring in Stephen Amell into a movie and put him in the Justice League.
He looks like a movie star,
he's a
you know.
movie star. He's very charismatic, and people love him on social media. He could be so good for them.
You never know. They might, depending on how the results of this turn out, they might have to reshuffle their plans
I don't know.
and start.
Yeah,
And that'll be very embarrassing because if they have to do a lot of reshuffling, like Marvel,
they're definitely going to have to reshuffle something.
Marvel-
There's something that they're going to screw up.
I agree because Marvel, while they may shuffle some dates around, those movies are going to happen. Those movies are definitely going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't have the complete faith that all those movies that you saw on DC slate are actually going to happen. If they
Really?
do, I'll be surprised.
You'll eat your second hat.
I'll eat my second hat.
Wow, that's a
I'll
lot
eat
of
my
hats.
Jaffo hat that you gave me. And I like that hat.
Ooh, that's going to go down a little difficult.
Yeah, I'm really.
I'm also not. I mean, granted that it does look like DC is, at least for now, playing catch up. I don't have that much, I don't want to say that much faith in Marvel, but sooner or later, they're going to run out of steam, or people are going to get tired of it. There's going to be superhero fatigue, like you said.
Yeah,
and
there's going to be a backlash.
And it's like, what percentage of the films being produced now are superhero films? I mean, you're talking about
crazy.
I mean, these films go on the theater. They're number one for 1 week. They're number one for 2 weeks, and then the next one comes on, and then the next one comes on, and we haven't even mentioned the S word, Star Wars.
Right.
That's another monster coming that is going to want to suck the air out of everything, too.
It is going to be big competition for the superhero movies because not only do you have 7, 8, and 9, but you have the standalones.
Yeah, next year's going to be like the biggest movie year since like 1982.
Well, it's a monster.
It is. And it doesn't leave a lot of room for competition.
And if something goes wrong, it not only knocks out whatever went wrong, it could knock out the next three things in line.
Well, perfect example, Spider-Man. Spider-Man 2, which everybody kind of called was going to be
It
not
wasn't a
good.
bomb. It wasn't a bomb, but it wasn't a hit.
It wasn't a hit.
It was
And it put immediately Sony into sort of like regrouping mode. They pushed back Spider-Man 3 to 2018. They pushed
Sinister Six forward.
Venom is sort of like, And so you see, you're right. It's like dominoes.
Right. That whole empire got reshuffled, and now it could collapse.
Very easily.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you guys for updating us. And as usual, the minute something changes, we will update everybody. So, Kyle, thank you. Steve, thank you. And thank you guys for listening. And we will see you here next time at GeekFest Rants. Bye-bye, everybody.
Whosoever be he worthy shall have the power. Whatever, man. It's a trick.
Oh, it is much more than that, my friend.
If I lift it, do I get to rule Asgard?
Yes, of course.
I will be fair but firmly cruel. Be right back.
Are we even pulling?
Are you on my team?
Just represent. Pull.
All right, let's go.
Come on, Cap.
Nothing.
Oh, no, that's not a question I need answered.
The handle's imprinted. Whosoever is carrying Thor's fingerprints is, I think, the literal translation.
Yes, well, that's a very interesting theory. I have a simpler one. You're all not worthy.
How could you be worthy? You're all puppets, tangled in strings.
When I was his age and younger, there was nothing. It was all crap.
Synergy. No synergy.
I'll eat my hat if that Sinister Six movie ever actually happens.